Well, hello everybody. This is Scott, your Northwest Geology guy. Today we're going to be talking about the ghost volcanoes of the Cascade. They're not really ghostly, but it's a catchy title. I stole that from Nick Zentner over at Central Washington. But we're talking about the volcanoes, the ancient ones that were along the Cascades millions of years ago that are no longer present. The Cascades have been around for roughly 40 million years, but the average life of a Cascade volcano is only about 2 million years old. So the volcanoes that started the volcanic arc are no longer there. And the evidence we have of that, there's a couple I can think of offhand. There's a lahar deposit over in Thorpe near Ellensburg, off a highway or US 97. They ran a chemical composite on it, and it doesn't come back to any known volcano in the Cascades, which tells us that it came from a volcano that's no longer there, which is kind of neat. And that's something I really want to do, is go over there and get a sample of that. I'd like collecting weird things like that, like volcanic ash, volcanic rocks from certain places. I have some volcanic rock by the first visitor station, Mount St. Helens, that is 20 miles away from the nearest volcano, Mount St. Helens. So I know it didn't come that far, because the andesite, diacite, and rhyolite that come out of the Cascade volcanoes don't travel very far at all, because they're so viscous and really thick that they don't go very far before they cool and stop. So it's really rare to see a long volcanic flow from any of the volcanoes. But we do have one over on US 12 that runs for 50 miles. And they ran that back, and it looks like it probably came from Goat Rocks, what's left of that volcano. It's a volcano that's probably about halfway eroded away. It's just now just like a big batholith of granite, which a batholith is just a huge amount of granite. We have that up on I-90 at the summit there. If you're going eastbound, it'd be the great big granite peaks there that they've been cutting into to try to stop the rock slides across the highway. But that was the spot of what they figured was another Cascade volcano right there. And I know that I was looking on Google Earth one day, trying to find something, and just out of town of North Bend towards the Cascades, it looks like there was a big circular depression there. No, I couldn't find anything on it. And when I was on my gold panning trip with my son, didn't find any gold, but a ton of glacial till from the glaciers of Mount Rainier. But I did find a bunch of volcanic rock that got me thinking, okay, these aren't weathered rock like river rocks. They look like they've been pretty much in place around there. And did some further research and emailed my buddy down at the USGS and the Cascade Volcano Observatory, and he said yes, that area has been known for ancient volcanism in there. So there was a volcano around Morton somewhere millions of years ago, and there's so many little like mini volcanoes, it looks like already, that are full of trees and grass, and it's a big detective story to try to find out where these volcanoes used to stand. And I was in a couple weeks back, I was in a discussion with, I didn't know he was a big shot at the UW, but it was one of our earthquake discussion groups on Facebook. And that Mount Rainier is dying. And I said, what do you mean dying? And I gave him all the thing, how active it is and stuff. And one of the moderators I know real well, John Vidali, he said, Scott, I don't know if you know, but this guy's the leading expert at the UW. He's a volcanologist. I think he was just playing with me to see how much I knew. But because Mount Rainier is basically rotting away, the east flank collapsed about 7,300 years ago in what was known to be the Osceola mud flow that flowed down into Tacoma here and all the way south into South Seattle, or north into South Seattle. And, it blanketed all the Puyallup River Valley, Ording, everything like that, gave it nice fertile grass and soil. And the west is crumbled. On the west face is the rock is like a clay. And I've seen videos where they're up on there and they grab a hold of it and just crumble it. From the hydrothermal activity up there has just eaten away at the rock, because you're getting, sulfur, you're getting hydrochloric acid coming through with the steam. It's just altered the rocks. And that's why Mount Rainier is known to be one of the most dangerous volcanoes in North America. Not for so much for a volcanic eruption, which would really devastate the area, but another collapse on the west face would send a massive lahar down all the river channels into down to Tacoma, probably maybe down the Nisqually into Olympia, going down the river valley all the way up into Seattle, blanketing a lot of populated areas. So that's why it's considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the Cascade. But what he thought would happen is eventually when Mount Rainier crumbles away, it'll rebuild itself again. And he said that Mount Rainier is probably not the only volcano to sit in that location. So, things change, and they don't change, within a lifetime. It takes thousands, sometimes millions of years to form, because geology doesn't work very rapidly. It's a very slow moving process. But I just find it really interesting, trying to find, where did this come from? Nobody knows. And trying to trace it back. Can you trace it back to a spot in the Cascades? I know that since we have the technology to test it, the chemical analysis of the rock or mud flow or whatever, and try to trace it back to a certain source. But, if there's nothing there, you don't have much to go on. But it's a really, really good hour lecture on it by Nick Zentner from Central Washington. He did a really good lecture on that, and he gives you spots to go to. He talked about the volcanoes that were down off of US 12 down there on the east side of the Cascades, and just a really good lecture. I would suggest you guys going to his channel on YouTube and looking at that. It's really well worth the hour to spend on hearing the lecture. But I'm sorry I didn't put out a video last week. I've been really sick again. I'm just starting to feel a little bit better. I've had another battle of cellulitis on my hip and back and leg, and I was a pretty hurting unit, so they hospitalized me for 3 days, and I just got out, Tuesday? So I've been home a couple days and still on heavy pain pills and antibiotics, but I'm slowly getting better, and I really do apologize about missing a video, but I know my last video didn't do very well at all. I hardly had any viewers, so if you see this and you didn't see the last video, go ahead and go back to it. It was kind of a good video, I thought. But, well, that's all I have for today. I hope you hit the like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I try to respond as quickly as I can to the comments. I'd like to hear back from you, see what you guys have been up to, what you're doing, and what would you like to see in the future. Okay, well, you guys take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.